Good morning. It is Stick to Wrestling for June 8th, 2025. And if you're watching on the video portion, you can see that our tribal chief of baseball from Underdog Fantasy, his podcast, Our Baseball is Dead, Section 10. He does work for MLB Network, Nesson, 98.5, the mother sports hub.
That's right.
And he'll probably do an episode with Robbie Fox of Barstool from My Mom's Basement from the Top Rope edition. He is my tribal chief. He is Jared Carrabis. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Jimmy Stewart. Hell of a morning to talk wrestling. It's always a great morning to talk wrestling with you. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, I don't know if the viewers see what my name is on StreamYard.
I miss Roman. I miss Roman too.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm at, Jimmy. So like they say like, oh, like if you're depressed, like one of the telltale signs is that you start losing interest in your hobbies and the things that you used to love. And right now, I'm not very interested in the Red Sox, and I'm not very interested in wrestling either. And it's not because I'm depressed. I think it's because the product sucks for both. I think that's where we're at. Like, we were talking about it a lot last night. I had a couple of the fellas over, and we were discussing, where we're all kind of at. And a lot of us are just watching the clips for Raw and SmackDown. We're not watching live as much anymore, if at all. And I mean, that should be alarming to the company when you have literal diehard wrestling fans, and we're kind of just like, like I'll catch it if I can. Like, we're obviously all watching the PLEs live, but as far as watching Raw and SmackDown, we're not there right now.
So the analogy that my friend Chris said years ago was, he said, wrestling has become the baseball regular season. And there are times where it's a grind. It's a real grind to watch all 162. It's a real grind to watch all 26 weeks of their programming. And now it's just flooded with more. But every once in a while, you'll get a no-hitter, you'll get a perfect game, you'll get a 3-homer game, you'll get some electric outing by Pedro or Paul Schemes or Garrett Crochet, or you'll get some mess of a fake walk-off win like the Red Sox had earlier this week. Like, you'll get those moments during the course of the season, but a lot of it is just grinding it out for, not useless because that's too strong, but like programming that doesn't go anywhere. So maybe useless is the right term. But I think that's kind of, and there's a massive hangover from WrestleMania because I think a lot of fans were disappointed in the amount of investment time from WrestleMania to get that. Right. And now, me personally, I was in the stadium. It's a 6-star match between Cody and Cena, and probably 8 stars if it's the Tokyo Dome. But, people hated it. I get it. You didn't get The Rock. Oh, The Rock, is the real person who's ruining wrestling right now because of his poor decisions to show up and then not show up and then go on national TV and say, oh, wrestling's fake, so don't take too much account. That's a board member right there who is essentially telling you, oh, wrestling's fake, don't invest in it. Like, don't get upset about it. Well, but you own the company. You're part investor in this company. You should be telling people, oh, yeah, I just didn't show up because I knew it would piss you off. Like, that's how to tie it in, I think. And then there's the ticket price thing. There's TKO moving WrestleMania from New Orleans back to Vegas now. And I would wait on that one until London comes in and decides, oh, we'll take it. And then now,
how about them announcing Vegas last night like it was a surprise?
Right.
Like, they're like, you won't even believe it, the big announcement for WrestleMania 42. And it's like, no, pretty sure we all knew that like a month ago that this was.
And they took all the color out of the logo too, Jared. That was the thing, is they took all the like the logo this year. It's all bright, shiny, and cards, and this thing and that. It's a black and white logo. It's terrible. Like, they had a lot of marketing misses last night. WrestleMania was one of them. Naomi's not going to sell any merchandise as the winner of the case. Seth Rollins is going to sell minimal merchandise as the case winner. Like, there were a couple different ways that they could have done on a bigger scheme marketing business side of things. But yeah, I would agree. And I thought last night was an okay show. There was nothing notable from the women's match. The Dominic match, and we all love Dom, but that was more of just to try to get the crossover from the AAA crowd into watching Money in the Bank. And the AAA show was fine. I was happy that Corey Graves was doing play-by-play again. That made me happy. And the fact that Conan is this unconditioned WWE announcer now. So he's like, Corey, can I tell a story about this luchador? And Corey's like, yeah, like we got live mics here. Go ahead. And Conan's talking, and this isn't the lead story, but this is just where we've gone. Conan's not talking in sound bites. He's talking about, he's doing the podcast stories because Conan does his podcast and he's doing these stories about this luchador. You know, he came up this way and you got to beat the teacher and da 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 da. And it was like a breath of fresh air, but he's going to get talked to about that. He's like, we talk in sound bites, brother. We don't do these long, never ending stories.
No.
And they had a fine show. But it was still weird, like AAA and WWE doing a show together, but Money in the Bank. And here's my big takeaway, Jared, is R-Truth returned and it overshined Cody and it pissed Hunter off. That's my big takeaway from the show last night.
Hunter had to know that the reaction was going to be Truth is back. I mean, that was the social media buzz.
And he was pissed about it.
Yeah. Well, also, did you see, the post press conference that Triple H did? And
it's all part of the story, brother.
Yeah. Like, was this a work? Was it a shoot? Was it the plan all along? And Triple H was basically just like, yep, just like enjoy the show, all part of the show. Did you enjoy the show? And I believe Truth's son like retweeted that and was like, that was a lie. Like that was not part of the plan. Yeah. Like you fired my dad and everyone called you out for it. So then you brought him back. And I think it's interesting now that he's going by Ron Killings instead of R-Truth. So he's back as Ron Killings. I don't know. Is that a character change? Is that like we can't legally use R-Truth? Like, I don't know. How does that work? I have no idea, but I don't know.
That is the compromise. I'll give you the reporting on this from Fightful because Seth Ross Sapp, whatever his name is, he's very good at this stuff. Yeah, he's very good at this stuff. I just wish he wasn't the gatekeeper of all media. He's like, like a Rob Bradford type. He's like, oh, I've been here for a long time, and you have to put all your stories through me, and if you don't, I'm going to come to you in the clubhouse and I'm going to speak to you about it. Well, do you work for the team, Rob, or do you work for an outlet? I'm sorry, that's unnecessary shrapnel. I had another shot in my mind. And I'm like, I'm going to stop there because we're here to do wrestling.
Yeah,
brother, you can't say that. But here's the reporting: is according to Fightful, R-Truth's contract had not actually expired, but sources close to Raw and the Truth Killings did claim he has a new deal. His son seemingly confirmed as much on social media. Specifically, one talent noted that Truth was cut in a very cold and impersonal way, with a talent relations employee informing him instead of top brass of the company. So I've heard different things on this, so I don't know that anybody really knows. But back to the reporting. Killings actually ignored many of WWE's approaches during the week until Nick Khan, the president of WWE, took over and called Killings to work out a new deal. We're told that the deal was a meeting halfway situation. Truth's son, Christopher Killings, also posted a cap in response to the claims of Triple H's post-game presser comments of the killing situation being, quote, part of the show, unquote. So here's why I think he got a new deal, and it was a Nick Khan phone call. His tweet got 22.3 million views, Jared. 22.3 million views. And if you want more reasons as to why it wasn't a work, it's actually twofold. One is the outpouring of positive emotion from talent in the company about Ron Killings. That was number one. And they were very public about it. CM Punk also, in a post-match video after Raw on Netflix, when the crowd was chanting for R-Truth, made a joke that went over everybody's head in that crowd about, like, how dare you chant for somebody who doesn't work for the company? Which was, if you didn't get the joke, which many people didn't, it was about him and him being away from the company and the crowd chanting for CM Punk. I don't know how the crowd in LA didn't laugh at that, because it was great humor by CM Punk, but they didn't. It went right over their head.
Yeah.
So 22.3 million views, Jared, and they had to do something because the outcry of anger and interest in Ron Killings was there. So what I think happened was Nick Khan made a call on Friday. This is what I believe happened. He made a call on Friday, and they gave him a decent payday, and they're like, okay, creatively, what do we do here? And the creative was, I'm now Ron Killings, and the creative is I got to cost Cena the match. Now, how they came up with that, I'm not sure, but I also don't believe that Triple H wanted the finish that happened. And then the second part to this, where it was clearly an actual firing or a release, is you've been in locker rooms, Jared. I've been in locker rooms. Your manager has to have the trust of the players. And if you're going to tell me that Triple H and Ron Killings and Nick Khan all worked the locker room on that, that's a bad sign for your locker room. And that creates a massive distrust in that locker room. And I think there are a little bit of issues in that locker room, not part of the Ron Killings situation, but part of the Rock situation. But those go unreported because it's not like AEW where it's like, let's run to Dave Meltzer and tell all the shit that's going on. That's a lot.
I mean, I think also just wrestling reporters are all over the place and they just volume shoot and try and be correct. And I think that there's a lot of people in my little experience with it, Jimmy.
Yes.
There are folks backstage who think that they're cool because they tell their information to people, but they want to be the cool kid that's like, I know something and I get to tell someone that I like, and there'll be conflicting information all the time. So I'm not saying that these reporters don't get information from people backstage, but what I am saying is that people backstage don't always have correct information. So there was another thing where a report that the reason why John Cena had the match with R-Truth was because Cena was aware that Truth's contract was expiring and he really wanted to work him as part of his retirement tour. So that's why it happened when it did and how it did. I can't imagine that John Cena was aware of R-Truth's departure from the company months in advance, and R-Truth figured this out a week before.
Right.
I don't think that that's what happened. I do think that so Triple H is I don't want to give him too much credit here, but he was in a tough spot where you're asked that question. Like you let these people into press conferences. You're the one that wanted to copy AEW by having press conferences and having real media be there. So of course you're going to get asked the question, was this a work or was this a shoot? I think it's bad either way. If Triple H is like, no, we didn't see the value in R-Truth anymore, so we released him, and then everyone complained about it, so we were like, wow, we made a mistake and we brought him back. That or any variation of him saying that, but that being the central message that says you don't have that was the main criticism of Vince, was you don't have the pulse of the fan anymore. Like if you think that, if you genuinely believe that we could do without R-Truth and everyone's just going to move forward. Unfortunately, sorry for the cheap shot, Carlito, but like a Carlito situation where it was like, oh, damn, that sucks. Anyways, if you thought that was going to be the reaction to R-Truth getting released, then you don't have the pulse of the fan.
Right.
So you can't admit that. So he has to say, it's all part of the show, brother. It was a work, which was a lie. So you're either going to lie to your audience and be disingenuous to R-Truth, or you're going to acknowledge that you don't know what the fans want. And that's not a death nail by any means, but you certainly don't want to admit that after, everyone kind of has Vince PTSD.
I think that there's a balance in telling the truth. And even if you leak it out, even if it gets out there but it's so much better, I think, if Hunter says, well, it's been quite a week for him, and there was a business decision made that we corrected. And if he wants to go into deeper detail than that, he can. But if he just puts it there, then I think that's an honest enough example, as opposed to him saying, oh, it's all part of the show, brother. And then it's now up to the wrestling media to go, okay, that sounds like a challenge to me, because that's not what the last week was like. And it also brings to a deeper thing about how like I said, that Triple H seemed annoyed, because I think Triple H had creative in place. I don't know this is just me guessing, but where he wanted to do John Cena and Logan Paul at the Saudi Arabia show in 2 weeks. and they did teasers of it. They're not getting along, this, that, and the other thing, because that's a match that the Saudi Prince can buy into, brother. And they still may do that, but now they've got Ron Killings in the mix, and now he's got to do something with that main event program. And then again, it goes to burying what I think Triple H wanted to be the lead, which was Cody Rhodes is back, and Cody Rhodes got to win over John Cena. And Triple H's creative once again has gone up in flames. That's what it feels like to me. and it gets me to this other point, Jared, about Triple H and his contract situation, right? And I've been trying to do some digging on this. The last known contract that I've seen Triple H sign was back in September of 2022. And why did he go in the Hall of Fame now? Oh, well, they need a headliner. There are other people who they could get to headline. I think his speech is still going on. I think we've reached the 90-minute marker. I mean, I still haven't watched it. I just saw the part about Vince, but like that thing was never ending. But like, what is Triple H's status? Does he want to deal with this at 55 years old? Like, is The Rock going to bring in Brian Gewirtz to run creative full time? Are the wrestlers going to be walking on eggshells whenever The Rock shows up again? Do he and Nick Khan get along? I think they do, but Nick Khan is the one who signs the contracts. He's the one who called Triple H and was like, "Hey, if I sign CM Punk, do you have creative for him?" Yeah, we can figure it out. We can do something with Punk, but I think Punk and I need to talk. There's a lot there. There's a lot with this company, and it all leads into like, now why is John Cena a bad guy? And is John Cena's playing a bad guy rather than being a bad guy? And that this also ties into John Cena's done these fan fest things, and he's told fans, he's like, "Oh, I just show up and they tell me what they want me to do." No fucking way. Like, there's no way that John Cena just happened to show up in Toronto and be like, "Oh, we're gonna have you kick Cody in the nuts, and now you're gonna be a bad guy." And he goes, "Okay." Like,
Wasn't
there's
it
no
his
way.
idea?
Yes. So last year at the Money in the Bank, I'm not yelling at you, Jared. I'm a morning person, so this is like when I get into my rhythm now. This is when I sit at the keyboard every morning. I go, how can I tell the audience that the grass is really red? It's actually red and not green, just to annoy them. But the whole idea that John Cena, I believe last year at the press conference, was like, "Oh, I've had an idea for the company to do my last year in wrestling," and they finally accepted the idea. And it was him to be a villain on his way out.
Yeah.
And, whether he's playing villain, which is what I think he is, and that's why nobody's like on board with it. And maybe the opponents have adjusted slightly, or the timeline of things has adjusted slightly. Like, John Cena being a villain is what he wanted to do, and I will take that to my grave believing that.
Yeah, I mean, he's wanted to be a villain multiple times. Like that program that he ran with The Rock, like he had like the gear and the music all picked out. Like I'm sure there's been multiple times where he's been like, "I want to do this," and Vince shut it down. Vince wouldn't let it happen. But as far as all that goes, I think the audience's not universal opinion, but majority opinion is that the heel turn has fallen flat.
Yep.
Which sucks because, like, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think his heel turn was the last time that this company made me feel something like an emotional reaction.
Sure.
Like I thought his heel turn when we got there at Elimination Chamber, I was like, "Oh my God." Like the booking that this company is able to pull off, I can't believe it. Like I thought, as a wrestling fan, as a little kid, it's like every cliffhanger you would just be like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to tune in to see where this goes." And it would kind of cascade week into week, Raw into Raw, pay-per-view into pay-per-view. And it's just not that way anymore. The Bloodline storyline telling was some of the best storyline telling in the history of the company. I think the pinnacle being Sammy turning on Roman at the Rumble, like that 2022 Royal Rumble, or was it 22 or 23? I think it was 23. The 2023 Royal Rumble. That was the pinnacle of like, this is how great storytelling in professional wrestling can be.
And Jay walking out, and you're like, what is Jay going to do? Because he's boys with Sammy now, but he just turned on Roman.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, And I'll give you a little detail on that, Jared. That was a suggestion the day of the show.
What was?
For Jay to walk out
Oh,
without being essentially Switzerland, being essentially neutral. Like, I don't know what to do. And that was a Jay Uso suggestion. He's like, he's in the meeting and he goes, why don't I just walk out? And they're like,
yeah.
oh, and that's the
Yeah.
cliffhanger.
Yeah, like these
And
guys
that added
know
the extra layer of detail to it.
Yeah, no doubt. Like these guys know their characters better. Like I know what I would do. Like I know what my JOSO character would do. So yeah, like that was like an example of A++ storytelling.
Yep.
And when we got the John Cena heel turn at Elimination Chamber, I thought, man, we're back. Like this is new. This is different. This is holy shit. This is jaw on the floor. This is something that we've just never seen before. We've quite literally never seen this. So there's so many, like the excitement from wrestling fans. Like when you get a storyline that can break through that level of, you've got your casual wrestling fans, you get your diehard wrestling fans, but then you have your people that they know who John Cena is because he's an A-list celebrity, but they don't watch the program. When you have people in that realm being like, oh my God, John Cena turned heel. Like, do you even know what turn heel means? But like, they're talking about it. They're talking about it. To go from that peak to discussing, well, now like all these possibilities, we're going to get a heel Cena versus a babyface Orton. We're going to run it back with CM Punk. Like at some point, John Cena is going to have to beat up R-Truth because that'll get him more heat. He's got to do that immediately. He's got to beat up Stu, the cameraman. Like that was like the talk the night of. I think the Orton Cena stuff didn't deliver the way that I wanted it to.
It didn't hit us in the fields because I think they want you to believe that Cena's greatest rival is Randy Orton. And I think
wouldn't the greatest rival be last, not first?
So there's that, but they booked St. Louis in May instead of December, right? But I would tell you that in real time, I never felt like Orton was his greatest rival. I would put Edge and I would put CM Punk as higher on the list of John Cena greatest rivals.
I'm with
push
you
back.
No. I mean, so I think it's kind of here's where I'm at on Cena's greatest rival. Yeah. Because John Cena is so great and because he's been around for so long and he's had so much success and he's also worked with so many amazing partners, it's like he doesn't have a singular greatest rival. He's had a multitude of legendary rivalries. Like when you talk about John Cena and Randy Orton, like they came up together. They're both, if you could make a case for I guess the modern era Mount Rushmore, they would both be on it. So like, yeah, like that belongs in the conversation, but you can't come over the top and definitively say like, well, Cena's greatest rival is actually Edge. It's actually CM Punk. It's almost like every era of Cena's career had that great rival, but Randy Orton was probably the only one that was consistent throughout to the very end.
But here's how I kind of judge it, Jared, is I assume you were at the 2011 Royal Rumble in Boston?
No, I hadn't come back yet.
All right. So that was the one that Del Rio won. And they had a spot match where what's that?
Was that the 40 man?
Yes, that was the 40 man.
Yeah.
That was most noted for the Diesel and Booker T returns. But they had a couple spots in the match where John Cena is in a standoff with somebody. And in 2011, the Boston crowd did not care that John Cena and Randy Orton were in a standoff together. Right. And that's partially part of the gauge. But I just know that in real time, his story with Edge elevated Edge to another level. And it was this evil, vindictive, manipulative, on a different way story with Edge. And Edge wins in Boston. And then Cena wins in Toronto.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that element to it. The CM Punk story not only took CM Punk to a main event level, but if it's to be believed, and I would believe it, CM Punk outsold John Cena in merchandise. And you had a level of Hogan and Savage with Punk and Cena. You had Hogan slash Cena for the kids and the younger crowd. Macho Man slash CM Punk, that was for the adults.
Yeah.
That was for the Jesse Venturas on commentary who are like, oh, I've been a fan of the Macho Man for years. Like, he's justified in feeling this way he does about Hogan over Elizabeth. Like, that's the CM Punk fan was rewarded because of that story with John Cena. And you could tell John likes CM Punk. And that's why I think that, like, if you're asking me who John Cena's greatest rival is, it's CM Punk. And it's because it was the adults versus the kids, right? And I was the adult at the time. And I still love them both.
That is my favorite match of all time, Money in the Bank 2011. But I think that you can make the case that while they did have a program together, that while that was happening, the rivalry was not between CM Punk and John Cena. The rivalry was between CM Punk and Vince McMahon and CM Punk and Triple H. Like, it's just Cena just happened to be the champion, but the best promos that CM Punk, like the pipe bomb that led up to it. If you go back and watch the promo that plays before that match, CM Punk is just talking shit about Triple H and Vince McMahon.
I know.
And then it's like, all right, now go fight John Cena. And he even says in the pipe bomb, he's like, I don't hate you, John. I even like you more than I like a lot of guys in the back. Like, he's like, I like you. I like you. I hate Vince. I hate my peers. I hate Triple H. Yeah. So it's just like, that was a great program. I don't know that we can call it a great rivalry.
Oh, see, I do, because John Cena was the face of the company at the time, and he really had the story with Edge, but then you fast forward and he had the one night stand thing with RVD, and then it gets back to Edge, and then John was kind of like in this weird spot, and then here comes CM Punk being like, "Oh, I want the title." It's like, "Oh, somebody actually wants the title now." I'd have to look back on it, but I feel like John Cena had a run of like 3-way matches for a title. Like, there's a win over Batista in there. There's like a 3-way with like Big Show and Randy Orton. There's a handful of those things. And like, I think the CM Punk Cena thing took them both to another level. I know I mentioned that it definitely took Punk off, but it gave Cena like a more deeper cut feud. And this is just my memory. Were you in the building when CM Punk did the Vince McMahon contract negotiations?
No, that was also, I didn't come back until 2012, I think.
That was the week before Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
And CM Punk is like doing a live negotiation. We actually did this in the control room. Might have been this week, where we're talking about like, the face-to-face with Cena. It's like, you've become what you hate. You've become a dynasty, and the champ is here. Yeah. You've become the New York Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Cena pops him.
Yeah.
But that's my bias.
It's one of my favorite matches of all time. Yeah. I don't know.
Anniversary of that is coming up. Anniversary of that's coming up. Dork Party watch along. Let's rewatch and put microphones in our face. The CM Punk John Cena Money in the Bank match in Chicago. It's a great match for a couple different reasons. One is we found out after the fact that that CM Punk had to sign a 1-day contract extension to have the match actually happen.
Yep.
And then he doesn't sign his contract until 6:00 Central Time that day, which that's all on the record. I think he said it with the morning show. He did a spot on Toucher and Name Redacted a few years ago that I was part of. And he said it. He's like, yeah, I signed my contract that day. And the part of it is, I think this is all in the DVD, but I know it happened because I was in the studio for it. But he's like, yeah, if you sign your contract, you win. If you don't sign your contract, you lose. Like, clear as day, right?
Makes sense to me.
It makes perfect sense to me. And then they rushed it back. And, yeah, right. You sign a contract for a stupid amount of money at a tour bus, and it's like, oh, by the way, here's the title. Hang on, let me take it off the shelf. Here's the title for you. Speaking of titles, the rest of the Money in the Bank show. Seth Rollins wins the men's Money in the Bank, which I think is the right call, Jared. And I know I've told you this story off the air. I've said it on the podcast a few times. Like, he's going to try to cash in on Raw. He's going to try to cash in during the Jey Uso Gunther match, I believe. And, he's either going to get interrupted by CM Punk or returning Roman Reigns. And I think both are good. And whether Seth fails to cash in, loses the case, and that becomes the main event of night one of SummerSlam, you're getting a Rollins versus Punk or Rollins versus Roman Reigns match coming up, and Seth now has control of Monday Night Raw. So what do you think about Seth as the winner in the match and maybe your progressing storyline?
I feel bad for LA Knight first and foremost, because again, another great pop for his entrance last night. And I mean, it's not like he has to win the Money in the Bank in order to get back into the world heavyweight title picture, but it would have been a nice kind of victory for him, or just acknowledgement of the last 3 years and the reactions that he's been getting. So that's where I start. I think with Seth Rollins winning, it's predictable, but predictable is fine with me. I know that people try to use predictable as a negative, but sometimes the outcome that you think should happen is the right thing to do for storyline progression. Seth Rollins, you don't have to get swerved every single pay-per-view. You can't, you also can't, that would be unsustainable. But
right.
Rollins winning, I thought that we would see him come out, maybe not cash in, but come out in last night's main event, because when are you going to have Jay and Cena in the ring at the same time? You kind of want to be who's he going to go for? If you win the Royal Rumble, it's it's the same thing. Who's he going to pick? But if you how many Money in the Banks have there been where the world heavyweight champion and the WWE champion, or the Universal champion and WWE champion, have been in the ring at the same time, the same night following the Money in the Bank ladder match? So I feel like they kind of missed the boat, at least having Rollins come out. But yeah,
maybe that's the story that Triple H wanted to tell, and he got R-Truth instead.
Maybe, who knows? But
I actually had somebody text me being like, Rollins should come out during this match and tease a cash in, and challenge for both at the same time. And if you even want a bigger swerve, and you can, and this is Triple H asserting his quote unquote authority on creative, you have a scenario where Seth Rollins stacks Jey Uso and John Cena and walks out with both titles.
Why not? It's no one has ever seen a Money in the Bank contract before. What if there's language in there that if the world heavyweight champion and the WWE champion ever appear in the same match and you cash in, well, now it becomes, all titles are on the line. They were both in the match. So
winner take all.
Yeah. What if there's language? They could have gone a bunch of different routes with it to make it more interesting last night, and they just didn't do it. But that's okay. I think Seth is the right winner.
There is a story to follow up with your LA Knight point. There is a story where LA Knight wins the Money in the Bank, holds on to it, teases Jay with a cash in, teases Cena with a cash in, and you get to December 13th, Boston or St. Petersburg, and John Cena has pinned CM Punk and is ready to walk out with the title. And here comes LA Knight. And LA Knight gets the win over John Cena and gets the title and prevents John Cena from walking out and ending the lineage, quote unquote, of the WWE Championship, which don't put it past this TKO group to do. Don't put it past them. It's oh no, we've got our big gold belt. We're good. We're gonna let the Vince McMahon belt go away. Don't put it past them to do something like that. That would be wild, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be quite the. I mean, even if they did that for just a little bit, there's a lot of different.
The Vince belt goes away. You're stuck with our big gold belt.
Well, I mean, I can't remember if I mentioned this with you or with Robbie, but I believe it was in the Randy Orton versus John Cena match that they had, and you know how they show their resumes on the screen?
Sure.
They have been acknowledging that this world heavyweight title has the same lineage as the big gold belt,
Yep.
which I said, like, when they introduced it, why not just fucking say that? But like they didn't. So it's like, all right, when you introduce a new title, you're putting it on Seth Rollins and then asking him to create this, like, run with it. You're the workhorse champion and give this title meaning. All they had to say was, this is Ric Flair's, this is Dusty Rhodes, like, this is the big gold belt, like, we're bringing it back, we're just slapping our logo right on the middle of it. But now, like, they never even, I don't know. There's so many things that I wish that they did. I can't complain too much because it has been great for like the last 4 years. But then there's like these little things here and there. I'm like, this would have been so easy to just do it, and it would have made the world of difference.
Yeah, I agree. Like, they did that with Alexa Bliss, where they popped on there that she's a former 5-time women's champion, and they had the women's big gold belt on there instead of like the golden one now that they, or the white strapped one that they have.
Do they like, for someone like Charlotte, do they consider like the Divas Championship as a world heavyweight title?
Charlotte's number is messy. Because there was one point in time where she was acknowledged as having 2 more reigns than she's acknowledged for now. And I don't know whether they took away the Divas title, which merged into the women's world title, or whether they took away her NXT titles. But I probably have it because I all of Charlotte's stuff, obviously. But when she beat, I think she beat Rhea at Money in the Bank, and that was considered her 15th win. It might even say it on the plaque, like, oh, now she's a 15-time world champion. And then they took it away, and now she's just a 14-time. So I think they either took away her NXT or her D. They took away something. But her number is messy too, and she's got a character. She's got a whole like character issue right now. And
I think she's got a lot of issues. Yeah,
I do too. But there's also the theory that she was beating Tiffy until they had that moment in Chicago where the 23-year-old put her in her place, and it's like, now you're losing.
Yeah. That's the most fascinating part about wrestling, is that, you have all like the smart marks that are like, well, they know who's going to win and who's going to lose the whole time. And like, they just go out there like, no, like, they don't find out that until the day of the show. Sometimes it changes in the middle of the match.
Yep.
And like, so you are in a way, like, it's like, yes, it's predetermined and it's scripted, but if you're killing it in your promos, you are upping your chance to win the match.
Yeah.
So like, there is a skill that you can possess that would help lead you to a victory in a scripted contest. So, I mean, and especially like, it works in other ways as well. For example, R-Truth coming back, like, you got released, but because you are so beloved from your work in the ring, on the mic, your comedic effect, you can undo a release from the company. So yeah, I just enjoy the little nuances of professional wrestling.
22 million impressions on a tweet, Jared, like 22 million. I mean, that's the power of, and so to that point too, I actually heard this theory this week that originally John Cena was winning the WrestleMania 28 match in Miami against The Rock until the right on his hand promo with The Rock in Boston. And it was The Rock who then showed up in Miami and was like, I'm not losing to this guy. Like, I'm winning. And then we'll figure, and Vince had to come with the compromise. It's like, okay, well, you'll beat him in Miami, but you got to drop the title you got to lose to him in New York the next year. And that was the compromise. But the other detail from the men's Money in the Bank is Jacob Fatu has officially turned on Solo, creating more bloodline issues. Jacob comes out, fends off the Seth Rollins band of goons. Solo looks like he has the match won until Jacob Fatu grabs his ankle, pulls him down, beats him up and tells Solo he hates him, which was a soul-crushing moment for many. But I think the story is really how Jacob Fatu outshined Solo and did it really with such ease. And it's because we all think Jacob Fatu is a lunatic. We believe in Jacob Fatu, and Solo went from killer to business suit manipulator. And I think that's why Solo has kind of like lost a lot of momentum to Jacob Fatu. What do you think, Jared? What do you think?
So this is like the smallest thing that it didn't make it a miss, but he didn't hit the mark. He said, "I hate you." He didn't say, "I hate you, Solo." Like, you got to say Solo. All he said was, "I hate you." So he missed his own line. The turn we all knew was coming.
I didn't pick up on that. Good pickup.
Yeah. All he said was, "I hate you." So we knew that this was coming from a million miles away. Like, Jacob has been red hot. He's probably, because Roman's never around anymore, like, he's probably my favorite guy, like, on the roster. So to your point about Solo's character, I didn't like the wearing the suit and the head honcho type guy. When he was Roman's enforcer, that was awesome. But then when he tried to be like the head guy, there's just something there where I'm like, this is not, like, I'm not buying it. But when he started becoming the more comedic, like, arrogant, like, super sarcastic, like, mocking version of Solo, I'm like, that's it. Like, so he redeemed himself to me. Like this character that he's in currently, where he's just like laughing at people's faces, like being a clown, but still acting heelish. Like, that would have worked for me, but it's hard to be that guy immediately after you're the say no words enforcer guy for Roman's bloodline. So it was a tough transition, but we got there. And I don't know. I'm still buying. If people are selling Solo stock, I'm buying it. I don't think that he's I don't think it's not working. I don't think that he's very, to your point, Jimmy, he's very clearly second fiddle to Jacob. Like,
yep.
Jacob is, but I don't think that Jacob needs a burner. Like, I don't even know who's this new guy that he's with. What's his name?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Jeff Cobb.
Yeah, he doesn't, like, there's no Samoans named Jeff. Like, give this guy a better name. Like,
that's why it's JC, brother.
Yeah, like, I get him out of here. Like, Jacob doesn't need anyone. I think he can be a standalone, just badass Samoan. Have him feud with Solo, I guess, but, like, yeah, that was the pop of the match.
Solo's got to win that story. Solo's got to walk away with the US title. And then they do like a third match and Solo keeps it, because Jacob's going to go on and eventually win one of the versions of the world title. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Solo needs a belt to kind of protect for a little bit, and he needs to get his heaters back so that he can do, like, as you said, I would say it's a condescending, silly tone that Solo has right now. So if he does that and he's got a title that people can chase, I think that works on a few different levels to help get Solo back into a main event picture.
I thought he was going to win last night. He was my pick before the match started.
There was a case to be made for Solo to win and somehow disrupt Jacob's U.S. title run. Or, I mean, if you really want to do something and bring the bloodline back into a full-fledged two-brand story, you have Solo go after Jey Uso and you bring all that stuff back. And maybe that's how you tie in bringing back Roman. And I don't, unless my scenario happens on Monday, are they going to bring back Roman? Like, there's this weird report out that they're trying to renegotiate his contract, which is dumb.
Pay him less. Yeah.
Which is dumb. And I don't know that I believe it, but Roman's on the record saying, like, yeah, I'm pretty much like, I'm up for the highest bidder after next year's WrestleMania when my contract is up. And I also am under the belief that he no longer does stuff for Fanatics, which is a big deal in the business merchandising world of WWE, that his last Fanatics signing was just before WrestleMania, and he's signing on or has signed on with a different merchandise and memorabilia company. So if that's true, that's kind of like the first tell that Roman's got one foot out the door from WWE.
Yeah, I was saying this last night that we were robbed of, like, they got to the tribal chief character too late. Like, we got like really 2 or 3 years of full-time tribal chief, and then it became part-time tribal chief, and to the point where it's like we're already talking retirement or like leaving the company, where, you know, I'm a day one Roman guy, a literal day one Roman guy, never wavered, never said it's not going to work, never said this is too corny or whatever, or I don't see it, because there were plenty of times where he was just not nailing it, but I was like, I still see it. Like, I know we're gonna get there. It's just a matter of when. Yeah, we wasted too many years not being the tribal chief. We wasted too many years not having veneers. We wasted too many years with contact lenses and shield gear and shield music. It's, yeah, I as one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Roman Reigns guy on planet Earth, it just sucks that it feels like a lot of my interest in the product is tied to him, and I don't know, like, I feel like his mentality is, I've been there, I've done that, I have nothing left to prove, so I'm going to come and go as I please now. And it's like, I hate when guys, like, look at Punk. Like, Punk is basically full time. And I know that Roman has his health problems. So maybe that is a part of it, but I also think it's just like, I've done everything that I set out to do. I don't want to oversaturate my brand.
I think Roman also has 5 kids, and he likes enjoying time with his 5 kids. I think that's a big part of it.
2 sets of twins.
Yep. And that's a lot. That's a lot for anybody.
Sure is. Yep. Yep.
But I hope Roman's back soon. I had anticipated a Roman Reigns John Cena match for SummerSlam. I don't know that that's necessarily going to happen, because I don't think, because Cena's got to win, right?
Right. Yeah. Roman's not taking a pin from Cena.
Right. And even if we have seen the last match of Roman Reigns, and I don't think we have, he did the right thing for business. He put over Seth Rollins. And now it's, what do they do next for Rollins? But that's Roman doing what's right for business, as he's always done. You know, whether it's eating dog food or whether it's, you know, and to your point about being a day one Roman guy, you were there at Survivor Series in Boston in 2013, right? That Boston crowd was like, yep, this is the guy. This is the next guy. And then he probably should have won the Rumble the year that Batista won.
Yeah.
If they're a year early on Roman, maybe it's a different story with some things.
Yeah. But maybe we don't get the tribal chief, because him getting the shit boot out of him in Philly when he won, like, that kind of leads to his character of like, fuck everyone. I'm doing this for me.
I'm still annoyed, by the way, he didn't beat Sheamus the night we were front row. That still bothers me, because they saved it for Philly the next night.
But he did spear Triple H right in front of us.
Yes, he did, which was outstanding. And we still have that photo of you being on.
Yes, like,
shock and awe of it all.
That is probably the most excited / happy expression I've ever had in a photograph in my life.
That's great. Yeah, the tribal chief. I think the tribal chief probably happens more because of the pandemic, because him and Heyman kind of lean into the fact that, oh, we can talk directly to the TV audience. We're not going to get drowned out by the crowd.
Yep.
Yeah, Heyman's so good. Let's see. We're at 50 minutes ish. Do you have thoughts on Naomi winning the women's match or Becky Lynch? Anything along those lines? Do you have any thoughts on either of those two?
Not really. I mean,
okay.
Like, I think, like, I like Becky's heel character is good, but I don't want her to be a heel. Like, does that make sense?
It does.
Like,
it does.
She's performing her heel character well, but I don't want her to be a heel. Like, when she came back and she had like her and Seth's daughter up at the podium and she was just being mom, I'm like, this is who I want Becky to be. Like, that's because that's who she is. I get it. I get it's a show, but like I don't know. We only got like one night of wholesome Becky before we got like, the man being a mean person.
bitter person out for respect. And I think this is a case where John Cena's playing a villain, Becky Lynch is playing a villain, and she's trying to tie it in a little bit better than John is, where
Yeah.
Becky's like, I want respect. I want
Yeah.
respect for all of my accomplishments. What have I gotten? What have I done wrong? She's been wronged or let down by Charlotte as a friend, both on and off screen, although I think they've
Yeah.
kind of figured that out. Trish and Leader, there's my Boston.
Later.
Lita.
Leader.
Trish and Lita failed her. She beats Ronda Rousey in the main event of WrestleMania 35, which I think you're still trying to get out of that stadium.
Yeah, that was
and
awful.
never gets an actual one-on-one match with Ronda because Ronda doesn't want to work with her. Right. And there's a case to be made, Jared, that of the 4 horsewomen, she's the best of the group and never gets credit for it, which is something that I think she should lean into. Because like, and this is a bigger picture question, is like of Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, and Mercedes, who's really doing the best of this bunch? Who in the almost 10 years of the 4 horsewomen has gotten the best out of it? Who's looked at by the fans as like the actual best of the group?
It's Becky, Bayley, Charlotte, and who?
Mercedes, Sasha Banks.
So, all right. So it's the 3 horsewomen.
Good job.
So, I mean, all you have to do is look at the fact that, like Bayley, I love Bayley, but she's been an afterthought. Like she's on podcasts basically saying like, I haven't lived up to my potential. Like she's telling you that she's not the one. And Charlotte, I mean, fair or unfair, she's getting booed as a babyface.
Right.
Like she, whether it's like unfairly her own personal life getting held against her, whether people are like looking at all the work that she's had done in her face, being like, man, this is sad that you're doing this because you obviously have like deep rooted like insecurity issues or whatever. But Becky's just Becky. And when Becky goes away and Becky comes back, it's a massive pop. People love her babyface work. People love her heel work. They respect her heel work. When she's a babyface, she's cheered loudly as a babyface. And obviously Mercedes is in another company because she thought that she was hot shit and turns out she's not. Like, so she finally got her, I don't even know that she got her wake up call. Like, I think she still thinks that she is like the best women's wrestler of all time. And she like, people don't even like there's no signs in the crowd being like, bring back Sasha Banks. It's like, she's not missed. So I think it's unequivocally Becky is the number 1 out of that group.
I think with how fans perceive her, I think with her resume, I think Becky is the number 1, right? And she doesn't, and they could tie this all into the story about her looking for respect. And I think that could be a big talking point for her. But what eventually is going to happen, Jared, is she's going to keep doing this respect thing. And eventually the crowd's going to like get behind her even more and be like, you know what? She's right. She is the best out of the 4 women of this group. And she didn't have to go out and keep publicly telling you like Charlotte did or Mercedes did that she's the best of the group. And I think that that's an important thing, is that the crowd will organically tell you who's the best of anything, like they did with R-Truth, like they did with Ron Killings, and Becky's kind of in that sphere, I guess. Any closing thoughts, Jared, on the world of wrestling right now?
I guess like the last thing would be I still have not fallen in love with this new Paul Heyman faction, and I tend to lean heel. I tend to be a Paul Heyman guy myself, and I love Seth Rollins, but I don't know. It's almost like if I was going to really be into a Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins led heel faction, I needed some separation between Heyman and Roman. Like, I needed some separation between the Bloodline story. I don't like that he like became Seth Rollins' guy right after being Roman's guy. I just can't. Like, it's almost like Paul needed to go away for a while and then reemerge as Seth's guy and be like, oh, this is gonna be cool. But the fact that he's homie hopping, I don't like that.
Yeah, he was CM Punk's guy for like 20 minutes during WrestleMania's main event too.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I just
what then heats up the group? Is it a Sammy turn on CM Punk and now Sami Zayn is the fourth member of this group? Is it like what brings that group up in your mind? Because there's got to be, like, I'm trying to tie it into, there's got to be a Jey Uso Sami Zayn world title match. That match has to happen. There's got to be a one-on-one match for that. And then how do you tie it back? Because Sami Zayn's got to become this version of the world champion at some point, right? Like, so does that mean he has to go villain? Like, what else is there to add that would work, tie into, do they need another enforcer? Do they need to bring back Buddy Murphy so that Seth Rollins can put his hand on his head and, be the Messiah that Buddy Murphy never had?
I don't know. I don't know what gets me to buy in. It's a dumb answer, but like,
That's okay. It's a real answer.
If Roman joined them, but then you're just erasing 12 years of history, and it wouldn't make any sense, but it would make me go, oh shit.
So there's CM Punk. There's a CM Punk angle to this. Is CM Punk and Heyman put together this master plan, and this is CM Punk's master plan to get back at Seth Rollins, and they have Punk in the group for like a little bit. In the same way that Sting was part of
Punk joining the Nexus, and it didn't make sense when he did that either.
Yeah. And it's funny, like that Money in the Bank main event match, he comes out with the Nexus logoing in the background, part of his video package.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a story there where Rollins beats down CM Punk and then he joins the group, quote unquote, only to have Heyman be like, yup, it was all a plot against Seth Rollins. And now CM Punk is the leader of this super group because, because he'll work with Braun Breaker. He'll work with, why can't I think of his name?
Bronson
Reed. I almost said Jeff Cobb, and I'm like, I know that's
Jeff
right.
Cobb. That sounds like a 90s baseball player. Like, here comes Jeff Cobb.
Of course, his brother Alex Cobb was a pitcher for the Rays for a long time, low ball too.
Yeah, yeah.
I miss
great grandson of Ty Cobb. Actually,
I miss Joe Castig. But Will Fleming's great. Will, Lou, and Fleming, Middlebrooks, and Merlone have been great on these broadcasts.
They really have.
It's like they've been freed. It's amazing. It's great. But they call it out, see that, and that's for your section 10. That's for your baseball is dead. That's for your work with Underdog Fantasy, your work with MLB Network, your work with Neeson, and your work with 98.5, the Mother Sports Hub. And right. Is there a Robbie Fox podcast this week with you?
No, he's coming to Boston though next weekend. So I think we're gonna do Sox Yankees. Maybe we'll I don't know, we'll make some content, I would imagine. But
Bob Fox appearance is always happily anticipated.
Yes. But I feel like interest in wrestling isn't at its highest right now. So
I agree.
Though I'll probably get the call for SummerSlam, I bet. I
agree. Jared, thank you so much for morning wrestling talk. I appreciate it. We'll see you on the Baseball Hour this week on Wednesday. Baseball is dead. Section 10 tonight. Make sure you give Steve plenty of shit for me. Give Coley and Tyler hugs, and Nesson unobstructed views this week for you.
Monday and Friday.
Okay. Yes. And then any MLB Network work.
I'll be doing the MLB Draft Combine on the 17th for MLB Network.
All right. And that's it. That's your schedule as far as you know it right now.
I guess so. Yeah.
All right, Jared. Thanks for joining the Stick to Wrestling. We'll do it again soon, and we'll see you on your many outlets this week.
We'll see you soon, Jimmy.